Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Footy Banter and Insights. Today we have two special guests along with us. We have Ritwik Kalaria, brother of Pratik Kalaria, who's also been a guest before. And again, like Pratik, Ritwik is definitely the most accomplished footballer in this chat room at the moment. And in general, he's a great sportsman. I think across sports, wherever I've seen him play, I think he can literally kick everyone's butt off the park. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have Abhishek Gupta. He's definitely not the best sportsman here. I think he'll be competing with Manan for the last rungs of the ladder, but his knowledge of both football and F1 is like amazing.
Oh,
Like in case,
I need to interject. I have represented India in football. Okay, just saying. No joke. Like literally, I've represented India. Now, that's not a very high bar anyway, but still.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it depends though, like if you're represented as a fan or as a player.
No, as a player.
That was in Spain or what? That your college.
yeah.
I played for the embassy.
Acha, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Fine.
pretty good.
So basically, they were looking for 11 Indians in Spain.
Yeah, there were 11 Indians in Spain.
And Manan happened to be in the right place at the right
Basically,
time. So cool. So let's begin our game week roundup with the big match of the weekend, the Man Utd Villa game. And because we've got Ritwik and Manan with us, we'll let these guys take the first lead.
You go ahead. Ritwik.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, do you wanna start with like polls on who all were expecting United to lose the game, and who
So
all were-
honestly, I felt that Villa would definitely win the game based on the current form and the way Man U were playing. So I think it was a good 1 point earned by United in the grand scheme of things. Also, I think it's great for the league that Ten Hag gets another week, so it's good for us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page actually. I definitely thought that we were gonna I thought we were gonna lose against Porto. That didn't happen. We started off great, but then we sold as always. Then I thought that we were going to lose against Villa as well, but that was also another draw. It was disappointing because now it's going to get stretched for another week. I'm Ten Hag in not because like he's a great manager or anything. I don't know about that anymore. But he is, if we sack him now, then I feel like we'll be taking another step back because they've already started building a team around him. They've got managers for him, like they've got players for him. So I feel like we should give him some more time, like Arsenal did with Arteta, and he's doing wonders now. But about the game, I was very shocked about the lineup. When I saw Maguire and Evans, the centre back pairing of Leicester City 18-19 season, I was shocked. So at that point, I thought we were definitely going to lose. But to their positive, they did pretty well. They were pretty good. They were pretty strong, and they held Watkins. They held Aston Villa pretty decent. It didn't seem like they were winning. Like they went with the mentality to win the game. I feel like Ten Hag just wanted to like not lose because everyone knew that if Ten Hag was losing this match, he was out. As evidenced by the entire United SJR hierarchy sitting on top of him with Sir Alex Ferguson next to him. And I'm pretty sure he was on a next level pressure, and you could see like at the end of the game he was kind of smiling a little bit, which I didn't like personally, but it seemed like his job was safe for at least a couple of weeks. But yeah, I feel like United is struggling a lot. Villa was definitely doing well. Unai Emery has been amazing this entire season.
So I think on the balance, like if you see the result of the game in isolation, it's a very good point earned, right? But there's just so much context around this in terms of what has happened before that, and the performance attacking wise was not existent pretty much, right? There were like a few moments of Rashford in the first half and that one free kick that hit the post by Bruno. But otherwise, there was nothing going for the team attacking in the attacking play. So that's what sort of makes you a little disappointed. On the flip side, it was another clean sheet. We were pretty solid until the very end. There was that one chance to Villa that was blocked by Dalot. The shot was blocked by Dalot. Other than that, everything else was sort of long range and not so serious efforts. So defensively, we were pretty solid. It was like the selection of Maguire and Evans was sort of that kind of a selection where the manager knows that his neck is on the line and he has to go for solid performers over flashy performers, right? So he goes for Evans and Maguire, and they were very solid. Like Evans, I don't know. Like I wish he was 10 years younger. He was so good yesterday, and he's been so good since he's come back to United. So, and in our last week's roundup, Varun had mentioned that they should be defensively solid, like build a base and then go forward from there. So I feel Ten Hag has been watching our podcast, and he's started with that. So yeah, I think overall with United, the scrutiny and criticism is a bit too much and a bit unfair at certain times, because, and it is in general true for any team that dominates the sport for a certain while, right? Like if you see in cricket and Australia, like no one likes Australia because they've been winning all the time. So when they don't do well, everyone is so happy to just like diss on them, right? So that sort of mentality also happens to United because we dominated the sport. And I'm sure that happened to Liverpool also before United sort of started becoming really good and becoming the dominant team. That happened with Barcelona when Barcelona was really good for a 10-year period. So all of that happens, and there has to be some normalization of stuff. But yeah, Ten Hag lives on, and I have lost some degree of faith in him, but I still agree with Rutvik that like there's so much invested in this project already that you cannot go back to zero just yet.
Is it because Southgate's option is available right now?
No, it's not because of that. Like, I mean, there's Tuchel available. If United want, they can just go and get Kieran McKenna. I mean, there are various managers that United can poach from other clubs, let's say other smaller clubs, because United, as the name, is still very attractive, right? Everyone wants to be the manager that turns the club around, and they will go on to be getting a legendary status like Sir Alex or Sir Matt Busby. Right? So everyone wants to take that chance, get their opportunity, and they know if they fail, their stock won't go down as much because it's a club which is in a mess. So they can always blame external circumstances for their failures. So I don't think it's because of the lack of options or whatever the other options are available right now. I just think there's so much invested in it that you need to give it time.
Fair enough.
I saw the game again, like from a neutral's perspective. It was such a bad game. Like it was so boring. It was so boring, and honestly, the game lacked quality. I don't think it was either of the team that played well. It was both teams played terrible. Morgan Rogers was so bad. I mean, Tielemans was not good either. Villa were very disjointed, right? It looked as if they had put so much effort in that game against Bayern that, you know, they were completely out of legs in this game, right? It seemed as if like they had given 100% or 110% of their energies and focus on the midweek game, which was so massive for them. And this sort of looked like a afterthought kind of a game for them. So they are called, I mean, I don't think that Villa were playing, I would say Villa were playing in the second gear, right? So I wouldn't like to give the credit of a draw to Ten Hag in this game. I just thought it wasn't United's defense that was good. It was just Villa was that bad going forward. So that's just my perspective as a neutral, because I thought both the teams were very, very poor. Again, a lot of misplaced passes, a lot of errors in the midfield. None of the midfield had control in the game. I mean, I think it was 2 hours wasted for a neutral fan to watch this game. So that would be my take. Again, even for United, right? I mean, no one stood out. No one actually stood out as a player. I would say, okay, fine, this player at least did a little better than the rest. But I think I think it was a very, very poor game. I should have watched the Chelsea-Nottingham Forest match instead. I saw the highlights later for that game and it seemed very, very interesting.
But you
More
wanted to
interest.
watch the big match of the weekend, no?
I mean, I knew we were going to discuss this game in detail, so I had to watch this game. But if this wasn't, if we were not going to discuss the United Aston Villa game, I wouldn't have kind of, after the halftime at least, wouldn't have seen the game. So, yeah, I mean, again, and honestly, circling back to Ten Hag, I get what Manan and Rutvik are saying, but just based on the performances, right? Like, I don't see where United goes under Ten Hag from here. And that's just my opinion sitting from outside, not being a biased United fan or not anti-United or like whatever. I just feel as a neutral, from a neutral's perspective, I don't see currently based on the performances, forget the results. Based on the performances, I don't see United going anywhere from here, right? Like, I just don't get it. I mean, I don't understand. Does Ten Hag want to be sacked? Like, I don't understand. I get the point. Okay, Maguire and Evans cannot be your number one starting defensive pair when your neck is on the line, according to me. And you have Martinez, you have De Ligt. Martinez was a player that he signed, right? So you have these centre backs sitting over there on the bench, and he's starting with Evans and Maguire. For some reason, it doesn't. Some of his selections don't make sense. I had put this point again last week as well, where he didn't start with Eriksen, and in that game, I think Eriksen would have done a good job because, as I said, at that game you needed control in the midfield against Spurs, right? And in this game again, I think the starting, and I don't know, like, was Ahmad injured or something? I don't know. Was he? You guys would know, right?
No, he wasn't injured.
So why did he bring on Anthony instead of Ahmad? Some of these substitutions are baffling, right? Like, it doesn't make sense at all what he does. Like the substitutions, the starting lineup, it's kind of very, very baffling for a fan to watch.
Well, Varun, see, Martinez and De Ligt haven't been very good. Like, on paper, all else, like if all of them are in form, they are definitely better defenders than Evans.
So why is he not able to coach Martinez and De Ligt?
Sorry?
Why is he not being able to get the best out of that pair?
There are various reasons that can happen. That, like, for example, Martinez has not been the same since he's come back from injury at the end of last season, right? So that makes a difference. He's going into challenges and not winning them. He's slipping a lot, like he's sliding in, slipping a lot. A lot of these things are happening. De Ligt also, he has not been great since, like, he's had these odd performances where he's been decent, but consistency is still not there. So in this kind of a scenario, I understand why he wants to go with Evans and Maguire, because they were pretty solid for him last season when everything was going haywire. Like, Johnny Evans was our best centre-back last season. He played the most number of games and he performed the best as well. So, it's not as illogical as we make it out to be. Also, if you see about Ahmad and Anthony, I do not rate Anthony at all. But if you see Ahmad, he started the season well. Like, he had a great preseason and he had a very good first couple of games. But after that, he's been very bad. Like, he's not been active in the game, or he's not been creating chances, not being a threat at all. So a manager can think that, okay, let me take this other option which I have. So, it's not completely illogical, but it is definitely not the most logical as well. I think it's just the thought of a manager who's trying to do whatever he can, like throwing whatever he can and hoping something sticks. Because he is in that kind of a situation now. He's not in a kind of situation where he can just continue trying the same thing over and over again and waiting for it to work.
And I completely agree with Manan. What he is saying is definitely true. And Maguire Evans, when I saw it first, when I saw the lineups, I was shocked. But then Martinez and De Ligt in the last game, they made a lot of silly mistakes. The goals that were conceded against Porto were both their fault. It was entirely like on Dalo, Martinez, and Dilip. So it is understandable. Like it also shows somewhat authority that like if you make mistakes, you are going to get benched. If he has options, he's going to bench you. Like against Porto, Ahmad was not the best. Anthony did some things here and there. So I feel like, and then he has that pace also, which I feel like he wanted to use more against Aston Villa. That's why he went with that option over Ahmad. But the one thing that hurts me the most is he keeps playing Bruno Fernandes when he's been performing extremely bad since the last 3-4 games. That red card against Porto was like it should have been like you're sitting out for this game against Aston. And Eriksen would have played a lot better in that position, in my opinion.
So with regard to Ahmad, I think I'll take some personal responsibility. Every time I get a player from United in my FPL team, they just stop performing completely. I think.
I can relate. I sold Saka this year.
And I think I see a trend here in United. It sounds very like it's a very crazy correlation. But if you look at the basic trend, Rashford till the time he wants a new contract, he plays brilliantly. Ten Hag, as soon as the guillotine comes close to his neck, he suddenly gets a couple of decent results for him to stay. So every time people are just kind of just taking enough steps not to be sacked or not to be moved out of the club.
Yeah.
And I think this trend kind of continues at United for a while now.
Yeah. So what he does is like he'll try so many things. He'll try to be attacking. He'll try that high press, low block kind of a tactic. Everything he'll try, and then when such a thing happens, he'll just like, okay, I'm going to shut shop. I'm going to go for a clean sheet, and I'm going to try and snatch results here and there, and I'm going to try and save my neck. That's what happens with him.
Yeah, that's true. Wait, fact check is Onana, like, does Onana have the most clean sheets this season?
I'm not sure. Manan?
I'll have to check.
I think I saw this on Twitter and I found that very shocking.
We have like 4 out of 7 clean sheets. Yeah. That I'm sure.
That's very nice.
4 clean sheets. So
that's pretty good compared to last season where we conceded like 4-5 goals every single game.
I think that's a start, right?
Onana and Alisson are joint top.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you look at the I would just say the facts, right? Like even with such a poor rhetoric around United, they've actually got 4 clean sheets out of 7 Premier League games, which is like insane.
And on top of that, we have also created one of the most chances in all
highest number of key chances, yeah.
Which is, I mean, if you look at the facts, it does not say that Ten Hag is bad, United is performing bad. It just, I feel like it plays more on the players. The players are not doing what they're supposed to do. If you make such silly mistakes in a game, it is going to cost the team massively. Like the amount of chances if a team misses in an attacking position, after a certain point, like the morale goes down, the head starts going down.
One thing I've noticed is that the players are still playing for United, for the manager. Like I have not noticed that the players are not trying. They may not be getting the quality through, but I don't see the lack of effort. The manager is going to get sacked. Why do I put in effort? Or I don't like the manager and I'm not going to sort of put in the effort. And I feel the turning point of United's season was in the second match against Brighton, when the Xerxes offside happened, where the ball was going to go in and it just hit him because he was sliding in. And I feel that was such a big turning point, because if that goal goes in, United win that game for sure, because we were in the ascendancy. We win that, it's 6 points out of 6. The narrative is different. Then, like, you don't know what happens. But, like, I think I've seen 6 of the 7 Premier League matches this season. Just from that moment onwards, I just feel that the mentality has become totally different of all the players. Like, it's like before and after that, the quality of football is also different. The mentality is different. Everything seems to be very different.
So I had come across... Yeah, go ahead.
It's like times when nothing clicks. I mean, coming from a Chelsea fan, we do our best, we'll run. We had Timo Werner who used to put in all the efforts, but he was always offside. So it's like sometimes you do everything, but it just doesn't click. And I think couple of wins on the trot, and I think we'll be just back. Like then again, you'll have remember how we had it in Conte. Like once we lost to Arsenal post that, he went mad. So I think United are there because to have 4 clean sheets in the Premier League, that in the start, despite playing so bad, and it's not that you've had the same pairing of centre backs all the time. You've had off form pairings, and yet you managed to get a clean sheet. So I think that's a start.
On the subject of Timo Werner, I think he was United's best player against Spurs, if I'm not wrong.
Because of him, I thought that we were not playing with 10 men. Actually, no, we had a couple of players who were playing for Spurs also. But
But I
So
just see
I-
that frustration of
Honestly, we'll discuss this in the second half. But Tottenham lost yesterday because of Werner as well. He missed a couple of very easy chances.
yeah, but that is what it's frustrating, right? Like even for United, even when he was with us, even when it's now that you're putting in the efforts, you're making those runs, but it's just somehow it's not clicking. And some of his offsides were, at least for Chelsea, was so awful.
I think Wenger has changed the offside rule just for him.
Just for
But still, yeah.
him and Morata.
Yeah. So I had come across one stat on Twitter. Again, maybe not 100% accurate, but Gary Neville in his Valencia stint as a manager, his record is actually the same record that Eric Ten Hag has since the last 30 odd games.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things wherein if this was any other team, I think the manager would have gone by now. But given the fact that Ineos have come in, so Jim has come in, and they have tried to change the structure around the club, I think he's been given time. And see, you never know in football, right? Like again, like Manan mentioned and like Abhishek mentioned, one good result and suddenly the team starts clicking in a different direction. So anything can change for sure. But at this moment in time, I think there's a lot of frustration. Like even let's say not being a United fan, I think it's very frustrating watching United games because you don't really get anything out of the game. It's like you watch and it's like you don't expect anything much to
I
happen.
couldn't agree more, Yuri. I couldn't agree more.
Oh,
I
you
think-
get a lot of pleasure seeing United being bad, yeah?
No, it's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of time.
You get a lot of pleasure after the match is over because you know United will drop points.
Yeah, but when you're watching it, right? Yeah, I'm like, मैं क्या देख रहा हूँ यार? Anyway, at least that's what I felt yesterday while I was watching the match. I was like, what is this, man? This is like 2 hours of my life wasted. So, yeah. But do you guys think that they are not sacking him because they trust him to turn it around, or do you think they are not sacking him because there is no good long-term option available? Now, I hear Southgate, I hear like a couple of other people, but clearly I don't think they are like a long-term solution to where United is right now. Correct? So I see, again, it could be not just them trusting him, right? Probably there are just lack of options out there that they feel that are good enough from a long-term perspective.
I think it is option 3, wherein because they have invested so heavily in this squad under Ten Hag, they can't afford to sack him because if they get a new manager in, he will again have to dismantle the entire squad and build the squad from scratch. So essentially, if you see the 20-man squad right now, I would say 14 or 15 of them are players that Ten Hag wants. So I think
Which he's not
they'll have
using.
to, which is like
He doesn't play.
it's the analogy of going on the weekend to a mall, seeing something good in the shop window, buying it and keeping it in the closet, and then thinking, oh, I may use it someday, so might as well get it right now.
But to add on to you, I think it's also pointless to sack him in November or October also because what difference can you make in the Jan window? You can't be, for example, even us. We've been trying to sell. We took 4 years to sell our deadwood. Try to get a manager. Try force the manager. Use the players that were there in the squad. So it's a very long-term thing. I think even if they consider sacking Ten Hag, it would only be because of the fans' pressure, because there's nothing to win or lose in this case. You're 14th. Max to max, if you have to stay in Europe and if things continue the way they are, and there are at least 6 or 7 teams which are very competitive this time. So it's not that it's an easy way to top 4 or an easy way to top 5. You have to be there week in, week out. So sacking him right now will never make any sense. Maybe look at it at the end of the season where you can rebuild everything from the scratch. But right now, there's no point sacking him.
I
So
guess
he may be just 1 point. He may be like if I look at it, United are 14th, but they are less than 6 points away from top four, right?
six
Yeah,
Like
points.
in
exactly.
general,
Exactly, 6 points. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just a matter of 3 good game weeks, and suddenly the tables change. Like even for Chelsea, like right now the
But
rhetoric is
that's
good.
but look at it. There is City, there's Arsenal, there's Liverpool, there's us now again. All of a sudden, there is Newcastle might just
I
turn up.
I I wouldn't I
Aston
wouldn't
Villa's
count on
there.
us too much, McGran.
Regardless, I am just telling you that there are 8 to 9 teams which are just there. It's become more difficult to come in the top six. Earlier, it was very easy. Not very easy, but you knew that you had these 5, 6 players that would always be there. But
True.
now it's anyone's game.
That is true. That is true. Even
That is true.
Spurs is playing well. Aston Villa is
So-
on another form.
So, in fact, I feel that should be an argument why you get a new manager sooner rather than later. Because while you are 6 points behind the fourth spot, you still have a chance to push for the Champions League spots. Correct? Take a scenario where Ten Hag stays for another 2 months, right? And the gap widens between the fourth spot and United. And then getting back into that Champions League spot becomes even more difficult. So it cuts both the ways, right? At one end, it's about horses for courses and getting the results and making sure you are fighting for the Champions League, right? And in the second place, how much time do you give this manager to turn things around?
So, United is this club which has a unique position where we can go perhaps 1 or 2 more seasons without being in the Champions League and the revenue that we can get from there. If everyone sort of is pulling in the same direction and if like the direction is positive, right? Because people can pull in the same direction and the direction cannot be positive as well. So like if things are sort of they see progress internally, which I assume they are seeing to a certain extent, that then they can sort of take this chance. Also, what helps is this year the Europa League group stage. Like you're not going to be eliminated in November, right? You can go on until January. So you have that time, that extra time to sort of evaluate how it's going in Europe, whether you can sort of have a chance in Europe and qualify for the Champions League through that route rather than going through the EPL route. I mean, there are so many different things. And also, like, we've gotten so used to this culture of like sacking managers all the time and sacking them very quickly that sometimes it feels that maybe this is the right option. And we have to also understand that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is old school in a way, right? Like, I mean, he might be a very, very good businessman and very successful at what he does. And he needs to keep reinventing himself to be that good consistently. But, like, I feel with United, he's a fan and he's not a businessman. Like, there's sort of a mixture of the two. And then he might just be reminiscing and thinking about the history of United between, let's say, 1970 and 1990, where we were in a similar sort of slump. We were changing managers relatively quickly for that period, like not every 6 months or 1 year, but relatively quickly for that period. We would win one-off cup trophies here and there. And then, like, I remember that Sir Alex was also on the brink of being sacked and he wins this FA Cup match against Crystal Palace, and then they go on and win the FA Cup that season, and that sort of just changes everything. So he might be thinking of the progression of a manager or the progression of a team and a club from that perspective, and taking this view that, okay, let me give this manager time because I can afford to do that.
I think another school of thought is that, like Rutvik and you also mentioned, that statistically you all are not that bad. Be it number of chances created, be it the way you all have been attacking and defending. But if there's no end product, you can't hold the manager responsible. So I think probably that's what's also in their mind, that if a player's not shooting, he can only get the ball in front of the goal. That's all he can do. It the shooting and converting, the rest lies entirely on the player. So I think that is one thing to consider before taking a call on him, because he should have been judged on if the players are being able to do something on the field, which I'm guessing by your talks they are able to do something. not how you all see United as it was, but they're able to do something. So, I mean, calling him off right now doesn't make that sense.
So Ten Hag's biggest problem is that he doesn't pass the eye test, right? Like all of us, no, it's true. Like all of us have said that it is not fun to watch the team, and it has been so for 2 years and 2 months.
Yeah.
So if, like, let's say the team is playing attractive football, like you see Spurs, right? Like they are not doing so well either, but because they are playing attractive football, everyone's happy.
No, I don't think, Manan, that's what I would pinpoint and say I wouldn't say it's boring football. It's just poor football.
Yeah,
Right?
of
So
course.
if there's a difference between boring football in terms of like how Mourinho was playing low block and kind of defending, or how Arteta does sometimes what he did against Man City where he was just defending low block. But I love to watch that kind of a game because you see the quality of defense in that. Correct? You appreciate how good the players are while defending. And that's the phase of the game that needs to be appreciated as well. In United, that's not the case. It's not about playing boring football, it's just playing poor football. Right? There's a difference between the two.
Yes.
United are playing poor football, not
Of course,
boring
of course,
football.
of course.
So,
But see, despite playing poor football, we are like the top two in the number of big chances created and on the top of number of clean sheets. So
again, I feel that, okay, fine, while you guys are brandishing out these stats, I just feel that sometimes you can't just go by these stats, right? A lot of time these stats belie a lot of like actual gameplay that is happening, which is not proper, right? So just going by these random stats doesn't kind of fulfill any kind of scenario over here, because I remember like when Ozil was part of Arsenal, right? There was a stat where Ozil runs the most, but what's the outcome? What's the intensity of that running? Correct. We, as a fan, you could see, okay, fine, he's running, he's jogging, he's covering the most distance, but is he kind of pressing? That is more important. So these stats sometimes just don't give you the correct picture. So you have to look at the game and actually understand whether the team is actually playing well or not. And honestly, this was if Arsenal would be playing under Ten Hag like this, correct, I wouldn't be happy at all. Correct.
None of us are happy, Varun. None of
So
us are happy.
I wouldn't be sitting over here and saying that, oh, I should give Ten Hag more time. And that's just me.
Yeah.
And believe me, when Emery got sacked, I was the one that we need to give Emery more time, because I could see us playing well under Emery. When Arteta was under pressure, I was like, no, let's give Arteta more time, because I believed in the football they were playing, right, irrespective of the result. But in this case, the football is not talking. The performance are so poor that I don't understand how some of the United fans, and two of you are right here, like, are sitting over here and saying that, oh my God, we can stick to Ten Hag longer. Correct.
So I don't kind of agree with the fact that we're playing bad football. Like, you see the chances, the attack that we're doing is smooth in football. We are actually, most of the chances that we've created and the shots that we've attempted, they are from inside the box. It's not like a player brilliance or any of that. We are actually moving the ball around very well, very smooth. But that end product is missing. And I agree that enduring, like once we lose the ball, it is bad. Like, we don't have the legs, we don't have the kind of players to, immediately go and win the ball back like Arsenal does, like Liverpool do at times. But other than that, during, like, when we're attacking, I feel like we're a lot more fluid than what we were 2 years back or like 3 years back. I feel there's a massive difference in the style of play, and there's something that is being played out there. You can see like there's a difference, there's something happening. I'm not sure if you would agree, and I'm not sure if Manan also would agree, but I personally see it myself.
No, I agree as well. It's just that the bar is so, like, the base is so low that any improvement is still going to, like, raise the ceiling only that much, right? So there has to be massive improvement and continual massive improvement for us to be, like, really good again. But there is improvement. The issue is also it's not consistent. Like, you see Villa, the game against Villa or the game against Spurs or the game against Liverpool, it was not good. But you see other games, it was good. So, like, consistency is the issue. And also, like, even after improvement, we are not that great, but it is progressive.
Yeah,
So
that,
I'll share one perspective which may make United fans happy. So earlier this season, Ineos and Sir Jim, they recruited uh, Sir David Brailsford, who is renowned as the person who turned around the British cycling team. So he has a concept called as the aggregation of
Marginal.
marginal gains. Yes.
Just to correct you, UV, they didn't recruit him. He's been with Ineos since forever.
Acha.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. So he is part of the United hierarchy now, and he is playing a big part at the back end. And I think if you wait for some time, I think his philosophy and his methodology, it eventually leads to great results.
yeah,
So step by step, he will identify every single component of the club, and he will start taking those marginal gains in every single aspect, and it will actively lead to a big outcome. The second is if you look at the vision from the club, so you guys signed Omar Berada from City, and Omar Berada has come out and said that we want to win the title in 2027. Now, if that vision is clear and the aggregates are going to go in the right direction, then either you're very clear, ki, okay, fine, Ten Hag is a man I'm going to do it with, or I'm going to replace him and that's my vision, it's going to remain the same. So I think the way things are going, there are only two outcomes. If the management believes that Ten Hag can turn things around, they're going to stick with him for 2 years. They're not going to make a flash in the pan decision. And if they feel that, oh, I don't see us going in the right direction, and I think he'll be out the door sooner, and then you guys will get a top class manager. I think if I was a United fan, I would love Tuchel at United. I think he is someone who would be great for the league and he would be really good for United overall. And apart from that, I don't really rate Southgate at all. I don't rate. Well, I think again, McKenna ke liye the job will come too early. So I think if we look at world-class managers, there is Allegri, there's Zidane, and there is Tuchel. And between the three, I would say Tuchel, being a Chelsea fan, seeing him up close in action, I think he's. I would hate for him to join United, but as a from a United perspective, it would be great for them. And Allegri would be the next in line. And Zidane, unfortunately, I don't see him coming to United anyways.
I don't think Zidane will come. I think we could poach Nagelsmann as an option, like how we went with Omar Berada. And honestly, preferably, I think we would go for Nagelsmann or taking over the other option. But to your point, Yui, I think that United has definitely like Sir Jim Ratcliffe's hierarchy. They have definitely considered all the perspectives, all the points when they offered Ten Hag the contract. In the summer itself, they had an option to change it. They could have easily done that, but I think they considered all the facts, like the fact that the behind the scenes at United before SGR had come was horrible. It was massively bad, and now when they came back, of course, if something is that bad, it takes time. It's going to take time, and I'm pretty sure they're considering all of that right now also before even considering to sack Ten Hag. There are a lot of injury issues still. There are a lot of behind the scenes that we are not even aware of. So once those things clear up, and then even after that, if they don't see like Ten Hag, doing better, then I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like if you can imagine the situation of Ten Hag, right? Like he has the first season, it's great. He wins a trophy. He qualifies for the Champions League. Everything is looking up. The second season, the football, he tries to change the football again. He has massive list of injuries, which a few other clubs also did have, to be fair. But he has that. The backup squad is very poor. The football is poor. Somehow he managed to scrape through and play one really great game in the last 3 months, wins the trophy, and sort of gets some credit in his bank, right? Then there is a 3-week, very, very public review that's happening. The club is publicly speaking to every manager available. And after all of this, he still is kept in his job. His contract is extended by a year, right? Ten Hag is not a personality who's going to take this kind of a situation lightly. Like he's very strong-headed. You can be strong-headed and be wrong, but he's still strong-headed, right? Like he's very strong-headed. He's focused. He is very confident about himself. So this is sort of humiliating for a sitting manager because he's a sitting duck. And then when he gets the power, when the hierarchy decides that, okay, you are the one whom we are going to back, when he's going to make some demands, which I'm sure he did, like he still has sort of a semblance of control over the transfers from what we read, right? So when this happens, then the hierarchy also knows that they have a manager who's strong. They've done this whole review, which was very extensive, and they want to back him because they know all the other exogenous circumstances that are affecting him. Which doesn't mean that he doesn't have to perform. Like, as I said, no United fan is happy right now. We are just trying to contextualize the narrative and normalize things, right? Not like, I'm sure Rutvik is not happy. I'm not happy. Rahul is not happy, and that's just three of us from our team here, right? And no one is happy. But like, we need to have context with everything, and I think both sides of arguments are equally fair. It is just about what you believe in, and once you believe in that, you have to, like, once you're in, right? Like, you can't just keep hopping from one side to the other and then back to the other side. It's just that. You're on mute.
Yeah, so last question for you guys. Let's assume normalcy right now. At what juncture or till what juncture will you guys back Ten Hag? Let's say you guys remain in the similar league position for the next month, 2 months. Would you still be on the Ten Hag bandwagon? Just the last question, and then we end for the day for this topic.
So I think we should give him the chance of, getting a left back in the January transfer window. A month after that, see the difference in the style of play, and then next month would be the decider. So 2 months.
Is Harry Amos, is he still at the club, or has he gone on loan?
He's still at the club.
So any reason why he has not been given that opportunity?
Too young. Too young and inexperienced for the Premier League. Like, I mean, from what I saw in the preseason, technically he's gifted. He's very talented. He's great attacking wise, but defensively, big problem. Like, a winger from Premier League, I think he's going to get.
Like, for me, I think it's more about seeing progress on the pitch, and he needs to definitely make more out of the squad of players that he has. In fact, I would not even want to wait for him to get a left back, because the manager has to solve these problems. Like, it's not like they are going to get perfect situations all the time. I mean, City have been playing without a left back for goddamn 5-6 years, and they've been the best team in the world, right? So a manager needs to solve such problems from within the squad, within the club. And I think the injury tune is running a bit thin now for this season, because we still have, like, let's say a squad of 23. We still have a good complement of 18, 19 players, most of whom have been signed by the manager's insistence. So now I need to see progress in the gameplay. If we are 14th, let's say, come January, then I would not want him to continue. I mean, it's public knowledge that in the podcast last week after the game, I was already calling for his head. Of course, that was an emotional reaction. It was an emotional reaction to the first half that we saw against Tottenham. But if we are in the same position come January, with the same kind of football and the same table in that same position, the points table, then I would not be happy, and I would want the club to make a change.
I have a question. Are you all okay with not having Europe next season? Will United fans, or I don't know what the feeling is around the club and the other fans, but what if you all don't have Europe next year? Do you all still want Ten Hag?
Please, Europa we should. And if we don't get even Europa, then I feel like that would be on top.
So again, if we are playing like good football and playing in Europa, like qualify for Europa next season, and then like there's progress on the pitch, then I think it will be okay. Because that is the most scary thing for everyone else, right? Like, United progresses, and once we start being good again with the commercial clout that we have, we are going to be very hard to stop. It's going to be like a juggernaut whenever that happens. I saw the sly smile on Varun's face, so I have to add the last bit.
No. I mean, I'm saying exactly what you are saying, Manan, right? It's the performance on the pitch that you should judge about the manager, right? It's just that till now the performances are so poor that I don't know. I don't know.
No,
Anyways,
I think one thought here is
I,
that
I think I think I
Varun
think
is comparing Arsenal's Arteta to Ten Hag's Man United. You can't compare those.
no, I am comparing. Arsenal in the first 2 years under Emery and Arsenal in the first 2 year under Arteta, when both of these managers were actually under similar pressure to Ten Hag's United right now. That's what I'm comparing. The difference I feel is just that in both the cases, the position on the league table wasn't justifying how the manager was doing, right? Like Arsenal were not doing well in the league. United are not doing well in the league. It's just that at that point we were playing much better, right? So that's where I feel when you are performing on the pitch, right? In under Emery, we were literally fighting, right? You have players like Kolasinac and all of these players who were like kind of just changing the attitude or the way we actually played football, right? And we needed that after Wenger. We needed to remove that soft tag that we had on us, right? So compare that, and then I was always Emery in at that point as well because the football was so good. You can see now how Emery has done well with Aston Villa as well, right? He's that good a manager. You could see it in the football. Again with Arteta, you could see it in the football what he wants to achieve. There was a certain style of play. There was a certain method to the madness that was happening over there. It's just that in that case, we just knew that we have to remove those bad apples in the form of, say, Lacazette. We had to remove Aubameyang. We had to remove Pepe. We knew that once these apples are gone, the team will click, and that's what happened. Under Ten Hag, I don't see it. I don't see. You can remove players, but I don't see it. Right? I don't know. Like you want to remove Maguire. 18 months ago, he wanted to remove Maguire, and yesterday he's starting Maguire. It just doesn't make sense. Like Anthony has been so poor, and he's getting Anthony on 0-0, his neck on the line. I don't understand. Like there's no logic to his substitution. There's no. United are so poor on the pitch. They can't have 5 good passes, one-touch passes on them in the midfield. Right? That's how poor they are. And that's why I'm seeing like I don't understand what is he trying to do on the pitch. So that is my whole point. Putting myself in a United fan's shoe, correct? As a neutral, I don't give a damn if the United want to keep Ten Hag or fire Ten Hag. I don't care a damn, right? Like, so yeah.
Okay, so I think let's wrap it up.
Cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, and do let us know what you think in the comment section. See you in the next video.